Welcome, everyone. This is Curse of Tamreon. My name is NinjaManMat, and you are watching Casters and Castles while I trip up over saying everything. Tonight, I'm joined by some pretty amazing role players. I think you might know quite a few of them if you come from the Discord. Joining me today, we have. Oh, I didn't even check if you wanted me to use your handles or your names. I'm going to go ahead and just use the handles that are on the screen. Uh, we have Karatoki, we have Mixed Pixie Riot, we have Nighttime, and we have Tormented by Gnomes. If each of you could go ahead and introduce yourselves, you, not your character. We'll go ahead and start with Kara.
My name is, my real name's Aaron. My handle is Karateoki.
Oh.
How much you want to be talking? Just introducing myself in general. 40, they, them. Been playing tabletop for, I don't know, probably 20, 25 years now, off and on. And I live in Utah. I'm not sure what else to say. I'm bad at these things.
That's perfect. No, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, and we will get to your character momentarily. Next up, we have Mixed Pixie Riot, which I think everybody is very familiar with for this channel.
I don't know about that, but hi, I'm Pixie. I have been running some shows off and on Casters and Castles. I play in the show on Monday afternoons or Monday evenings, depending on where in the world you are. I'm really excited to play in this game. I have I have more Casters and Castles projects coming up, but I DM a lot of D&D. I play a lot of D&D. I run a D&D themed sticker club. You can kind of see like this has taken over my life, and I'm good with that.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. And next, we have Nighttime.
Hello, hello. You guys probably don't know me on stream. You might know me in chat or on the Discord. My name's Night. I stream. I do art. I sometimes post on Twitter. That's pretty much it. I'm here. I'm dressed up.
And we're very happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then, I think the next person probably needs no introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to him anyway. We've got Tormented by Gnomes. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself for those of you who aren't aware.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tormented by Gnomes. My name is Joseph. My pronouns are he and him. I play a large amount of Dungeons and Dragons. It's the #1 cause of stress in my relationship. I'm kidding. I have her full support. I am the head DM and admin at Casters and Castles. I am super grateful to have all of you here at my table and in this community. And I'm super excited to be playing for once at Matt's table. It's super cool. So let's have some fun.
Yeah, I should probably mention, hi, I'm NinjaManMat, he, him, and I, myself, really want to just say that all of the games that are going to be happening Friday evenings, and then some Saturdays and Sundays, for a little while on this channel, are a community adventure known as Curse of Tamreon. This is my love letter to everybody who has been so generous and supportive over the last few years as Casters and Castles has been growing, and it's just my way of thanking those that have been so good to everybody here, and I just hope that we have a lot of fun with this. So I think, unless I'm missing anything else, without any further ados, is there anything else I press? What do I do from here?
Let's do a quick check on something. I know it's going to break the flow of the stream. I'm hearing that you've got some audio issues.
Uh-oh. Like what?
So if you...
Like I'm too low, or...
No, you're only in the left ear, apparently.
Oh. Well...
And I don't know why. Burb.
Putting me on mono. I don't want mono. Just going to put that out there.
Beep asked me to show it off, so I'm showing it off because I must listen to her.
It's true. That's one of the rules in the community.
Yeah, actually, while we're waiting to fix my scuffed volume, today we are going to be passing out some lovely inspiration. Again, my standing offer is for anybody who joins me during the session of a game, if they dress up, cosplay, add any sort of costumes or apparel of any kind to their character, you get inspiration. This doesn't mean you have to do like a incredible, oh my gosh, look at all the money and time you spent. For any of you who've seen, my scuff cosplays where I just kind of throw on some of my wife's laying around clothes and doilies, I made a costume out of that. So,
Santa John was perfect.
Santa John was great. Fortunately, I mean, we have some amazing costumes tonight. I think everybody looks fantastic, except for Joe. But Joe, you always look fantastic, so it's
Understandable. Have a nice day.
You're not getting inspiration though. Just gonna put that out there.
I just like excuses to buy wigs.
Any excuse to dress up. I'm like, yep, all right, let's do it.
I was happy to finally do makeup for the first time since the before times.
Yeah, it looks great with your hair.
Facts.
And mate, are we still having an audio issue? Should I just press on and
Let's press on, and we'll try to take a hack at it at the break.
Perfect. Sounds good. At this point, I feel like, mate, should I be introducing the characters, or should we do that as we go along? Kind of feel like
As we go along, I think it's more
Alright.
dramatic that way.
Perfect. Alrighty then. Without any further ado, as I've already said it once, I've said it twice, and now we move forward. I will not be asking my my partner and friend for any assistance anymore unless I duly need to. At this point, I'm going to be sharing with you what this campaign adventure is going to be about. Curse of Tamreon is a campaign set in the southern reaches of Anakra. The One Flesh descended down from the outer dark, was making its way, seeking the blood that was resting within Anakra, and Liban, Titan of the water and seas, ever-changing, grew to a momentous height, larger than anything witnessed before or since, took hold of the land masses to the north and south of the continents of Giru and Asatam, and tore it asunder, ripping it away from the oceans, and slammed it down upon the One Flesh, burying it in a prison of rock and Liban's own form. Since then, the Titan of the Seas has been a little more quiet and not quite as receptive to wishes of their followers as they would normally, considering they are now locked in an eternal battle with the aberration from the hungry dark known as the One Flesh. Sealed beneath the cursed continent of Tamreon, the peoples who have now recovered from an event known as the Great Upheaval spent much of their time trying to rectify this new life that they had. They, once being a collection of peoples across 2 different continents and multiple different cultures, now gained a sense of camaraderie and competition as they were trying to make their way in this new life. Both the mortal peoples of the land that had been there ever since, even though it was moved, they've called this place home for as long as they've known it. So too have the spirits that had dwelled there, both in the crossing points of the underworld, the locations, the fairy circles in the other worlds, anywhere where there was a connection on the land or sea, anywhere that spirits had called home upon the mortal realm. They too were either moved or disturbed during this event, and there was a great war that would come to be known as the... He's going to take a big pause as he looks at his note. The War of Displacement, that had raged on for over 100 years as the mortals and the spirits tried to find some semblance of what this new life was going to be. Eventually, there came a climactic point in the war in which a group of spirits who would come to be known as the Resolved allied themselves with the mortal creatures of Tamreon and fought against their brethren, exiling and pushing them away to the furthest reaches of Tamreon. Those spirits, now becoming known as the Embittered, have been pushed to the farthest reaches of the land. And from there was a sort of peace, where the newfound mortals of this place and the spirits that they have either worked with or isolated away from cut out their borders and started making sense of how they were going to move forward. And for the last few hundred years, things have been mostly okay. There's been a lot of conflict as many nations decided to use this opportunity to expand their borders. You would come across either civilizations that would try to hold on to the traditions of their past and the culture that made them who they are, and held on to that. They stayed, for the most part, pretty much the same. However, there were some drastic changes that had to take place, as many of those cultures would come to fall in time, as those who could not hold on to the past had to adapt to the future. And those adaptive societies either worked with the spirits or found a new way to etch out a life for them in this similar but very foreign land. And finally, you had the expansionists, those cultures that decided that they were going to become either warmongers or pushing out to collect resources, and some of them just made war for the sake of fighting. Those various cultures cover the expanse of Tamreon, and in time, greater threats than just warfare amongst rivaling nations began to appear. Not long ago, the nation of Drestis was attacked by a collection of pirates, and there was an enormous beast that was summoned out of the waters and smout their capital city, bringing them to ruin. That shook the continent and was quite a change for everyone. And soon after, there was a fog, a great and dark fog known as the Murky Veil, that spread slowly at first, but has now grown to encompass the entirety of the continent of Tamreon. It is a purplish fog that any who enter within its demesne hears eldritch whispers at the corner of their thoughts creeping into their minds, and the very thick fog that is resistant to being blown away or dispersed makes it incredibly difficult to see. People are driven mad when they enter the fog. The animals and the plant life, the flora and fauna itself, fight back against the mortals and are hostile. Any who go within suffer the wrath of nature that has been turned against them, or are driven mad as something at the edge of their mind creeps in, demanding obedience. We find ourselves a year later in a world trying to rebuild, finding out how, once again, the trials and tribulations of this cursed continent of Tamreon, where are these people going to be able to move forward? And it is there that we join our group of adventurers. We are sitting currently in a tavern known as the Robin's Nest. There we see Camellia, a forlorn sailor that has made their way to Tamreon and is staring into a cup of tea, thinking about their life and how they got here. Joseph, if you would like to go ahead and introduce us to your character, please.
Dressed in clothes that a long, long time ago would have been a nice balance between fashionable, middle class, and practical, with large puffy cuffs, laces tying up around the middle, a little bit of looseness in the side, fine trousers, all of it completely sopping wet. Bedraggled long hair that goes down to roughly shoulder height, just sopped and clinging to his face. Dark black hair. His face, his skin, this wan, almost gray with a blue tint to it. But that chapping that comes from sitting in the tub for far too long. Fingers slightly swollen and numb, clutched around a hot, steaming cup of tea. Vague, far-off look upon his face, and the occasional bit of water just from his mouth, dribbling down the front of his coat, of his blouse. It's not drool, it's seawater, just so occasionally, which in no small amount accounts for the condition of his clothes. He stares absent-mindedly, lost to the rest of the world, into the dregs of the teacup of a far-off leaf imported from the swamplands just above the troll fens of Lyteri, thousands and thousands of miles away. The grounds have long since gone cold as Camellia stares into the bottom of his cup.
And within the cup, you see not the empty, or at least near empty, bin, or it's not a word for cup, container before you. Deep within the dregs, you see a ship, and as you look closer, you realize you're being pulled into this experience, it drawing you in, and the tavern falls away. There's no longer the cup that was once on the table. You now, pulled into the cup, are surrounded by the open and thrashing sea. Camellia, please go ahead and describe where you are now.
Clinging to the bowsprit for dear life as wave after wave pounds over his shoulders, washing a screaming crewman off into the seas never to be seen again with the shock of thunder and the occasional flash of lightning, the howling, relentless sea cracks the masts and rips the sails of this ship. A ship that somewhere once before it was torn off bore Camellia's family name on it. The hull is ruptured as it tilts onto its side and cargo spills out, the last desperate hope of this merchant's last investment. Everything of his family fortune depends on it. Crate after crate and barrel after barrel of goods break forward, clashing against each other, shattering, spilling a carpet of that very same tea that scatters across the salt water and begins to steep, even as one last wave crashes over the top, smashes directly into this hapless merchant, a rich boy from a far-off northern kingdom, smashes him into the water. He begins to sink down, his limbs splayed, flashes of lightning passing up through the water above him, the shadow of all the tea leaves sprinkling out as the water begins to change color. But somewhere deep beneath all of it, as his lungs fill with water, as he coughs and chokes helplessly, drawn down, buried beneath the wreckage of the ship, there is a light deep within the ocean. Still, calm, stern. His heart beats faster. He chokes on the taste of salt water filling his lungs. And a voice speaks to him, offering him salvation, offering him another chance, another life. But it's going to cost him the one that he has now.
Camellia, your remembrance, your reverie is broken as the door to the robin's nest flies open. The wind blows, and a blue flower petal drifts through the air and lands directly into your cup. When you look down amongst the tea leaves and the flower petal pressed on top, there is a familiar shape that you have never seen before. You look up and you see a silhouette that matches what was there in your cup is now flashing for you in the doorway. As the light spills in, you see the exact same silhouette standing there. Meron, you are standing in the doorway. You had just arrived out after traveling for months and months and months, crossing whatever path you took to get here from the jungles of Dorswa. You have made your way to the forests and plains of the northern region of Tamreon, known as Strigair. And you have found your way, finally, to this tavern. As you look within, you see a smattering of individuals. You are not wholly unfamiliar, as you yourself are very well traveled, having been to this region long before you settled in Dorswa. And as you look within, you catch eyes with Camellia, and you know that this was the person that you sought after. it's at that time that you think back on this long and arduous journey that you were set upon. And we take our leave from this tavern as we go into the Mind Palace that is Marin. We are now standing, looking at the Shrine of Displacement on the frontiers of Telis. You are helping people. You have been at this shrine for at least a few years now, and it has become as familiar to you as the back of your hand. As there is a smattering of people of all different shapes and options of ancestry and
Various
worship.
demographics.
There's a lot of different people here. They've gathered around and they are seeking your help. What does a typical day look like for you, Marin, as you are attending to the Shrine of Displacement?
In general, should I describe Marin at all, or just go straight into the day?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Marin is, they look ostensibly human. Probably about 5'10", 5'11", 170 or so. They wear a breastplate that is a sort of midnight bluish hue with, like black undershirt going from the breastplate down to the gloves. They are a Twilight cleric in the service of Rialta, to whom this shrine is dedicated. So you can infer sort of that this raiment is not on accident. This is not purely a fashion choice. Day to day, they are generally actually not helping too frequently day to day. It's more night to night. They tend to work dusk till dawn is their main thing. Marin likes to make sure that anyone who is lost or injured who comes to their shrine is taken care of. If you can't pay, there are alternate options, and that's not a sinister thing. Sometimes they or I or he or it's really nebulous on how Marin refers to themselves, ourselves. Sometimes just a story, some kind of entertainment, helping out will work. Very, very worried about making sure people are fed and have a safe place to sleep. Especially now that the fog has come around. If the fog does come in, generally it's not too thick within the shrine, but if so, I will actually throw down a tiny hut for someone to sleep in if they're particularly in a bad spot, like if I think they're going to need extra protection. Generally feeding and entertaining and making sure that people know that they're safe and that they're going to have a safe place to sleep. I will also go out at nights and specifically go searching for people who might be lost or injured in the area. This shrine was placed specifically because this is an area where people will frequently find themselves lost while traveling. And it's well traveled enough that they're going to wind up here, or I'm going to find them.
And Marin, you know that specifically the shrines of displacement were placed at all of the different great battle sites across the continent. Anywhere where mortal and supernatural blood was spilt during the War of Displacement, it left a mark on the land. Mm-hmm. An energy that was so raw, it had to be healed with faith, and not just devout religion to any particular order. These are all faith shrines. Anyone is able to come and worship here, for it is the act of worship and the act of healing that is most important. And right. You have been to many of these shrines across Tamreon before deciding to settle at this one. While you are here, you can see that there is children that are running around and playing. You have healed their scrapes and their injuries, and you have, from the donations that you've accepted, you've been able to give the families who are suffering a little bit extra to try and get them through, at least until they get another meal. However, there is one that approaches you. A man. It looks like he's walking with a limp. And if you could go ahead and make the first roll of our game so far, I'd like you to go ahead and make an insight check for me, please.
Let's go, first roll.
16. Marin, you yourself are a particularly insightful individual, and though you are very overworked from the numerous people that have come to see you just in the last few days, you remember this man. While you were out gathering herbs and reagents for your spells, you saw this individual was trying to hide from you. He's different now. It looks as though he thought that a simple costume change would hide him from you, but you know better than that. You are able to pick up on his gait and the way he carries himself. And this was a poacher that you had seen trying to capture the small little critters, the little bunnies, the almirage with the horn coming out of their heads, and collections of beautiful feathered birds that only come to this area through crossing points from the other worlds. And not only do they gather these creatures, they find them, and rather than trying to offer them as pets or tokens to powerful and rich individuals who would seek them out, they collect what they can recover from these creatures, and they're able to sell them to spellcasters and the like to make far more money than a simple pet. And he approaches you and is requesting assistance. He fell while he was out in the hills, and he twisted his ankle very badly. Just a simple touch, a minor miracle from you would do. He's willing to pay.
I recognize you, and I know what it is that you do. You'll survive. Get out of my sight.
But sir, I know not what you mean. I bring donations to help with the people, and I need to get back out there. I can't be off for this long. My family will never make it.
Your donations are filthy, and we're all better off without you out there.
The man has a difficult time hiding his derision of you. He chokes back some venomous string of insults, and he limps off, realizing he's going to receive no mercy here. However, in the tumultuousness of this scene, it seems as though others around the shrine have begun talking. You can actually make a perception check for me.
23.
You were able to deftly pick up that people are speaking crudely of you. Though many people appreciate what you do for them, their children, and their fellows, you're an odd sort of person to them. You, as you've described, have thoughts that you speak out loud, ramble on to no one in particular, and have a strangeness, an aura of you that seems to be off-putting to most people. They don't dislike you, but they don't understand you.
This is all accurate, and I'm fine with it.
As you have been, you are quite used to it, and as time passes, it grows late in the evening. Most people have either gone home or have relegated themselves to the pallets that you've set out for them. Suddenly, you see, up in the sky, the flashing colors as the auroras of Hinakra make their way across the sky, lighting up the world with the twinkle of the relatively newfound constellations behind them. You look up and you see, this has never happened before. You've not seen this. This looks like some sort of visual phenomenon, but it can't be. You see that the actual stars in the sky, the sentries that make up the defense of Hinakra, are moving. And they are forming into a candle lighter. The auroras are moving as well. You can see them twisting and shaping and growing, their colors dimming and flaring, as there is a great roaring. It appears to be a candle. It's hard to make out, but whatever it is, it's enraged. And you see the newly formed constellation snuffs out the light. And it's at that moment you hear, "Hello!" Breaking you from your reverie, you see a squat, little old man with a walking staff. There's a bird's nest sitting atop the staff. You see, dressed in what are effectively rags, this small old man with a great beard that goes all the way down past his knees looks up at you with a bright smile. Marin! Oh, lovely to see you there. I've come to break you out. I think you likely have somewhere to be. My dear person, it's very confusing what's going on in your head right now. I have something for you. Someone dropped this, and I think you'll make better use of it than they did. And he reaches forward. He tries to take your hand. Do you allow him?
Yeah, so far I don't think I have anything to fear from this person.
And as he takes your hands in his own, he places a sigil or a crest, some sort of family emblem, into your hand. I'm not sure where they would have gotten this, but seems important enough as it is. Let's see. What else was I supposed to... yes! You will need this for your journey. And out of his pack, he takes a mask. It looks like a demon, some kind of fiend, but a caricature, meant to be given to children to ward off frightening things in the dark during autumn festivals and the like. He gives you the mask as well. Yes, the time is right. It is not clear. I mean, obviously, once you leave the borders of this settlement, it gets a little foggy, but with the light of the kindler, you will find your way, I am sure of it.
Do I recognize this person at all? Do they seem...
Absolutely not. You've never met this man before in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You would remember someone like this.
Right. Same that in a similar way I probably wouldn't be forgotten by most people.
Yes, exactly. But
Just
appears
strange
to know who you
mannerisms. Right. And where did you say you found these, and who was offering these to me? You said you had it sounded like you were deliberately sent here to hand these to me.
Oh, yes, I'm from the Order of sorts. I've come to break you out, as it were. You've been here for quite some time, Marin, and it's time that you moved on. There are other shrines to upkeep, other places to see, and you, my dear, you have a vision that no other has access to. You have a keen disposition where you can see things that perhaps others may not. The crest there, I found it on the ground on my way up this hill. I'm assuming someone dropped it. I mean, look at that thing. That's amazing. And as you look down, you see that there is an emblem, a herald of some kind. It's an upright gauntlet with a blue sapphire embedded within it. Flanked behind, there is an ironwood tree on a purple field. Go ahead and make an intelligence check for me, if you wouldn't mind.
I am not great at the straight intelligence.
Straight intelligence. Or I'll give you investigation if you're proficient with that.
No.
Well, then intelligence.
That's a whole thing about my buddy here. 16.
You know that crest, actually. It's a rather famous one in places that you've come from. That is the royal crest of the Kingdom of Koldar, specifically the Coldheart family, the rulers of that particular kingdom in the north of Strigar.
Okay. Do I have any sense of this person, like how sincere they are, or if I trust them at all?
Make an insight check.
I keep clicking the wrong tabs for doing all these things. Here
That's
we
no
go.
problem.
19.
Yeah. As you are considering his proposal, request, demand, it's all those things at once, you realize. You don't feel compelled. There's not many things that are able to take control of you in this world. You already have something that is, while not in control, you're used to the influence of others, and it holds little sway over you. But there is something at the corner of your mind that wants to obey this old man. And he takes the bird's nest, plucking it off of his staff, placing that in your hand as well. I forgot, this is going to be useful as well. You will need all three: the emblem, the mask, and the bird's nest to find what you are looking for. It's at that point you realize that this old man is both entirely off his rocker and completely honest in what they are describing to you. You trust it about as much as you trust the sun will rise tomorrow morning.
Is this a familiar sensation that I've received information in a similar fashion before, sort of thing?
One other
Like,
time,
yeah, okay.
many years ago, when you still dwelt within the caves of Sojor Liao, you were called by a force greater than yourself, greater than the spirit that shares your mind. The Star Kindler herself reached out and plucked you from the Underdark, brought you out into the light. And it is only with your different ways of processing the world, the way that you think, the way that you are able to perceive, you are very perceptive. They were able to bring that same level of trust from you, and though you do not worship them the same way that others do, you know that they did your people a great service many years ago, and it is out of respect and mutual trust that you work with Rialta, Queen of the Stars.
How long do I have?
5 minutes ago. I've been here for a little bit trying to explain this to you. I don't know why you're still here. I gave you the mask. I gave you the sigil. And now you
All right.
Mm-hmm. So gather your things and be off. And
I
I
hear you.
Uh-huh.
I cast create food and water twice.
Okay.
So, massive spread. The food won't last more than a day, but the water will remain.
Is this for me?
You said you were here to relieve me and get me out of here, so I'm asking of you to take care of these people tonight.
You are far
And
too
I
kind.
grab I'm kind of used to, basically everything's in a go bag. Like I wander a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a thing that I do. I've wandered Tamreon for decades now. Yeah, I provide him with the instruction that okay, I'm leaving this in your care for now.
For now,
If you're not going to stay, then please get someone else to replace me. These people are important.
Marin, you can trust me. I will not leave these people to their fate.
I believe you.
I know you do.
I'd ask your name, but I don't imagine you even have one.
I knew you were quite perceptive, Marin. I'm going
And
to
I grab my go bag and I start walking north.
Toodaloo! Take care. Mind the big rocks and the smaller ones. And
They are a trifle.
And it's at that point, as the old man begins collecting the food and seeing about the care of the shrine, that you are pulled away from this memory. And you are back within the tavern known as the Robin's Nest, sitting across from an individual that you've only just met, explaining what you've done over the last 6 months to find him.
Perfect. And then you walk through there and right into my And right here. And I pass over the teacup that has a little blue flower in it on top of a mound of grounds that look, if you use your imagination, sort of like a silhouette of a person. See?
And I'll just kind of look into it, and this place is called the Robin's Nest.
Is that it?
Son of a bitch.
Is that portentous?
And I will pull from, like, I've been carrying it around for months as I've been searching.
Mm-hmm.
An old man who I cannot begin to describe to you gave me a staff and this, and said I would need it after handing me this sigil, and said I had a job to do.
Perfect. Yes, yes. You and I.
What is this?
I gesture outside through the window towards the fog in the distance. All of this, the foul thing stirring in the depths, where the ever-changing one wrestles with the fetid rot of infinite hunger. We're going to still its breath
and drown it in um
the fog. We're going to tend to the fog, the bad fog.
I am sorry. It seems that you also occasionally have difficulty speaking. And you'll just hear in your head, is this any easier for you? You can reply to this message. Thank you, Sam.
Yes. No, thank you. Very considerate. I appreciate that. Yes.
So
we have been
so we're to deal
called-
with the fog?
Yes. The Titans themselves have anointed us. It is all as I have foreseen. The curse that afflicts this land, the curse that afflicts Tamreon, it lies in our hands alone, our hands and your hands and the others' hands as well, to resolve.
Who are the others?
Well, they're still, I swirl the cup of tea around a little bit. They're not here yet. This one looks a little bit like I thought for a moment that was a stick, but perhaps it's a lopsided pigeon? I'm not sure.
The strange man also gave me this, and I'll produce the mask. Is this of any use to you?
I'm going to take a look at the mask and I'm going to take a look at the mask and I'm going to see if I recognize it in any way, shape, or form.
If you could please go ahead and make either an investigation or an intelligence check for me, please.
All right, let me see which of those my character is better at.
And while you're making this roll, I did want to let Amber know that she is also in this tavern. We are able to, let me go ahead and do a little switcheroo here, so everyone is able to see, and there we go. That should hopefully, there we are. As the conversation has been progressing for some time now between Camellia and Marin, Chi, you are sitting at the bar with both of your wives, Aliana and Lilo, and discussing amongst yourselves, but keeping an eye out on all of the patrons that come and go from your organization's base of operations. And these two have been a keen interest to you. You know, that one over there, your nearly blind wife, Aliana, gestures towards Camellia. He ordered rather interesting tea earlier. I think you should go and talk to him. He is like us.
like us.
Indeed.
She'll be sitting there right now. She has kind of like her back turned to them, for the most part. Kind of just like taking her drink, kind of like just swirling it around a little bit. She'll look over, kind of see like it's pretty obvious that the two kind of stand out from the rest of the patrons that are normal customers to the Robin's Nest. She'll look back at her wife and she'll say, "I do trust your judgment. However, anyone who stands out like this can be nothing but trouble for us specifically."
Lilo chimes in. He's a fighter. That's what you see in him, isn't it? And Daliana just nods. He seeks
She
to
won't say
do
anything else.
that which we have started. That's the one that wants to undo the fog. Save the people. Although, I'm not sure how much they care for the people. Not like us. And her hand moves forward as it kind of just brushes against one of your nearby wings. A show of affection.
She'll kind of just shake her head and she'll say, like, I don't know if I trust every last person who comes in here telling me that they can fix the fog. It's...
Lilo grunts. He said nothing of it.
I don't know.
Watch
She'll take, like, one last look at them. Yeah, she'll take one last look and then she's gonna get up from the bar and walk away. But it is very...
Just very appreciatively kind of just shoulder checks you as you walk by.
She'll smirk. As well as an owl can smirk.
Yeah. And as you are, I wouldn't say stalking, but taking sense of this, your place of both home and business, keeping an eye on these particularly interesting peoples, Camellia and Maren, where are you in regards to this conversation that you've been having?
Just in regards to our conversation, I'm also kind of curious where I'm sitting specifically. Yeah, so it looks like my back's kind of the wall, and Maren is also super sus of everything constantly. Have I noticed at all this trio of people, like, discussing us?
What is your passive perception?
19.
Unless you begin just, are you going to be looking around and just very...
Maren does not know how to not constantly be scanning the environment.
Okay, go ahead and give me a perception check then, just since you are actively doing this.
For fun.
And while you are looking about, you can see that Camellia did put their back to
That's
the
only
wall.
an 11 with an active.
Oh, okay. You can see that they put their back to the wall as they were looking across the bar here, and you are sitting at the chair that is flanked by the window, looking out into the space behind you. And even though, again, you are an incredibly perceptive individual, taking in the space around you, almost paranoid, really, there's a lot of people in here, and a lot of conversation, and even some light music. And it's very distracting as you are trying to take in what could be happening across the way from you. You can see that there is an individual that is speaking to two others at the bar, an Owlin, in fact. You just know that they're focused on you, but you can't quite ascertain the nature of what it is they may be interested in. It's possible that just you're a new face and they're curious.
Which doesn't matter much to Maren, just knows that someone is staring at them.
Yes.
Where
she
are
does not
we?
hide it. She does not hide it that she is looking. She fears nothing in the tavern.
Where are we in our conversation currently, Camellia?
Camellia is in the middle of staring at, again, swishing around the tea as if wish and occasionally spitting out salt water to the side. And going, since you sat down
I forget, did you get anything from looking at the mask? Was that familiar to anyone?
Yeah, where's that roll I made? And I should have made that with disadvantage because chat's a funny. Oh, wow, I got a Oh, it rolled. Okay, yeah, 14 on my investigation.
A 14. And Camellia, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been in specifically the Kingdom of Koldar on the region of Strigar for quite a while, right? When did you actually make it to land? You've been traveling for at least a few years, right?
Yeah, I washed up on the shores a couple of years ago, on the beach wearing the same clothes that I'm wearing now, which don't smell like sweat. They just smell like salt water. And the lingering fragrance of tea. But I've wandered the world for quite a while, holding up signs and prophesying that the end was near, and serving people tea as I went along, sampling the local wares, having cheerful conversations with people about how the great hunger will consume us all. Have a nice day.
It's fortuitous that you've spent so much time in this region, specifically that you're in this town now of Halloween. You do recognize that mask, as you've been here for a little bit. It's kind of a bit out of season, but in a few months, when the festival of the dead will begin, where the people of this town pray to Ramius, you know that masks like that are typically given out in order to protect the people from hostile spirits. It's generally, as far as you know, just a fun gesture, not a whole lot of merit to it, but people believe that it helps, and so it's done.
Warding off against the embittered spirits. I couldn't tell you which one this is supposed to be. You got this along with the robin's nest, right?
Yes.
Marin, make an insight check.
Let's do that. 29 with a nat 20.
Marin, you realize that if months ago, had you been able to realize where this mask came from, you'd have found this town a lot sooner. Because of the crest, you knew that you had to come to the Kingdom of Koldar, and because you had the Robin's Nest, with all the pieces that were given to you by the old man, one at a time, you should have been able to eventually, somehow, in that weird logic, narrow it down to this place. And eventually, either through happenstance or diligence, you were able to find this place. And it's possible it had to happen now. Who knows how long Camellia has been here or would remain. But the matter still stands that had you been able to piece that together, you realize you probably could have just been waiting here in this rather fine tavern and inn, rather than traipsing about Hell's Half Acre, or the Underworld's Half Acre.
Are you paid up?
Yeah.
I'm paid up. Let's set forth. I think if I order another cup from these people,
They're going to try to kick me out for going over the...
they're going to throw me out in the streets for a drunkard off tea.
And you'll just go back in your head again. Fine, let's show me where we're going.
Excellent. I have no idea. This way. And Camellia confidently walks, and his boots squelch with seawater, which sort of, as he adjusts, it just out the sides. Some nice, like, polished leather that keeps it's ostensibly waterproof, but, you know, accumulation is accumulation. Stands up, leaving the chair behind. There's a puddle in the chair, and there's some, like, saltwater stains in the wood, and starts walking out very confidently, as if he knows where he is going. He does not. Towards the front door.
And Marin will just kind of shrug and stand up and start following. Muttering like, before it was always symbols and hints, and she literally told me exactly where to fucking go this time, and I can't believe I wasted 3 months on this. But like, not super mad at everyone, just doing this as he's following.
And as you both get up to leave, Chi, where are you currently within the tavern? I'm assuming looking out over these strangers. Well, maybe not so strangers.
Yeah, so she probably walked to the back for a little while, and as their conversation was kind of coming to a close, she might have walked back out, walked behind the bar, like feigning looking for something. But let me see.
Let me just do a quick test. Is this better
Yeah,
now
go ahead.
or worse?
Turn
I
you down a
definitely
little.
hear you a lot louder.
Louder.
Much
In
louder for me as well.
Is it too loud?
Are you
No.
increasing it in VDO or in OBS?
I'm increasing it both in OBS and playing with my audio device.
With your gain, right.
Uh-huh. Okay, is this good? Do we like this, or?
Keep going at this level, let the stream catch up, and then we'll go from there.
My apologies, everyone. Okay.
First show, it happens.
Okay, let's see here. So, Chi,
All right.
from across
Yep.
from across the way, you notice that Aliana is whispering to Lilo, who then approaches you. The large and heavy footfalls of your half-orc wife are
Bless.
not quite echoing, but definitely shaking and creaking the boards as they approach you. You're going to follow them, right?
I suppose I am.
Gonna
It's
be
not
okay.
every day a half-drowned man comes and orders that particular tea from our establishment.
Yeah, and don't worry. I'll take care of her while you're gone, although she is worried.
She'll have to take care of you, won't she?
Yeah. And she just comes forward and embraces you in just a very, not tight, but just strong embrace. Holds it for
She'll
a few moments.
wrap her wings around her.
And as she pulls away, she just gives you a gentle kiss on your forehead.
She could reach me. I'm 6'5". She's probably tall too, I guess.
Tall.
Yeah.
She's pretty tall too, but
Yeah.
she'll,
Is there a stool nearby?
She does that cute thing where she goes up on her tiptoes and then just like.
I have to lean down. Got it.
Yeah,
Got
just a little bit. And then she says, "And don't worry about Mom. I'll take care of her." And you can see off in the distance, Aliana stick out her tongue as she's a bit pouty at the moment, but she does give you a nod, somehow able to see exactly where you are, despite the fact that you know that her eyes were burned away long ago.
Yep. Yeah, she'll walk over to Aliana too. She kind of like reaches her hand out to her face, like kind of cups her cheek a little bit, and she will like, if anything moves, have Lilo put it back so you know where things are.
She reaches up and presses your hand a little closer to her face and leans in a bit. Yes, I'll do just that.
Good.
Take care of yourself, and for the love of all that is holy, come back alive to us, please.
Oh, you think I would go off on some kind of daring adventure to risk my life for the rest of the world?
Yes, I do. That's why I love you. Now they're getting away. Get the heck out of here. She kind of pushes you
She will
away
leave.
playfully.
She will turn and leave. She kind of, as she does so, I know I didn't describe her earlier, so I'll describe her for you guys real quick. She is very tall. She is 6'5", Her hands are they look like talons, right? They still they all have all 5 fingers, but they look more like talons than they do actual hands. So she's got long claws. Her legs are actual talons. Very long, very skinny. She herself, if you were to ever pick her up, she's very light. That is all her little bird bones that she's got going on. But when you look at her, you can tell that she is not fully Owlin. So she's got a beak that's like pointed, and it's got like little fangs. And if she opens her mouth and when she talks, you can tell that she actually has like pointed teeth on the inside of her beak as well. She's got some horns that go across her shoulders. She got little horns on her head. But the most dramatic features is her wings. So when she spreads her wings, you can see that they are both feathered, and then towards the bottom they turn into white dragon wings. And then her tail is very long, and it comes out, and it's long and skinny like a dragon tail, and then at the end it has large feathers. And she herself is very decorated. So she has piercings, she has gold, it's all gold. She's got gold rings on her legs, she's got gold rings on her face and stuff like that. And then she wears these large blue bracelets, as well as a few different colors on her wrists as well. And probably another most defining factor is the fact that her eyes are very, very, very bright blue, to the point where she does not look like she has pupils. So it is just straight blue. And she follows quietly out of the inn.
As you make your way, it takes a bit of time for you to catch up to them, but you know this town like the back of your hand. Since you settled here, you've become intimately aware of the space, and you're able to get ahead and catch up to them. Let me go ahead and take us now to the center of town. And Ari, I appreciate your patience during all of this.
That's okay. It's good.
As you are making your way through, Chi, you have cut them off, realizing that they were going to leave, and are just, again, keeping that eye as things go on, waiting to make your move as you look at the scene before you. While Camellia and Marin, as you enter the main area here in the center of town, where many different peoples will bring and ply their wares of all various sights and sounds accompany them, you can see that there is a large crowd gathered in the courtyard. Large crowd gathered in the courtyard.
There is no cow level.
And you can see that there is many, many, many individuals that are clamoring, trying to make sure they give the demonstration enough room, while also getting as close as possible so they can see the expert display of swordsmanship and bravado. As you make your way through, you can see that there is a swordswoman that is putting on incredible and dazzling displays of sword tricks. They are showing off, and every now and then there is a new challenger that comes in attempting to spar with them and getting handedly defeated each and every time. Do you want to stop and gawk, or just move on and go ahead and leave town?
Oh, I'm absolutely going to stop and take a moment here. As I go, I'm in the middle of, now that we've established mental communication, I'm using the message cantrip to say, you know, they call everything a tea, but if it hasn't got any actual tea leaves in it, it's technically an herbal infusion or a tisane instead. It's a very common mistake. Ooh! As I turn to look at what's going on.
And as I see you casting the message cantrip, because I recognize that you're at least using some kind of spell to do that, you'll hear in your head, you don't need to do that.
Oh, if you're not interested in tea information, that's fine. I understand.
You don't need. Once I've established communication with you, until I've decided to talk to someone else, you can just respond.
Well, if you want to talk to someone else, that's completely fine as well. I'd understand entirely. There's a lot of interesting people. Like, look at that person over there with the swords!
And then that'll look and just you hear and you're like, ooh, this is actually awesome. Thank you for that.
As the both of you make your way to the back of the crowd, I'd like to go ahead and open the floor for Ari to describe who it is that we see putting on this impressive display of swordsmanship and wit.
Well, I mean, she would certainly like to think wit. But yes, in the middle of a square, as has happened in the middle of many other squares, Kyle is showing off. I mean, she likes to say that maybe she's helping people learn a little bit, or like they're improving their skills, or she's inspiring them to get better. But really, she just likes how it feels when everyone is standing there watching her in awe. This woman is like like barely above average height. A very, very strong build. She's wearing just like leather pants and an old leather cuirass and like bare arms, kind of tattoos all over. She's very colorful. Her hair flows out behind her and like twists and twirls around with every motion, and it's bright red with streaks of other colors in it. There are a couple of scarves tied in her hair, a couple tied around her wrists, making these lovely flowing motions as she duels with anyone who is willing to risk it. Um, all of these little flowing bits and pieces look like maybe they'd be a little dangerous in a sword fight, but she moves with all of them. The way she moves with a blade is like an extension of herself, and I would think that anyone familiar with either sword fighting or magic would likely be able to tell that there is certainly something more than just physical in the way that she interacts with her blade. This is an extension of herself in mind, in body, and in magic. And it makes for a show that is hard to look away from.
And at that, captivated as you are, you're not nearly as captivated, I promise you, as a one Doriana Fleet Dream, a teenage halfling girl who has a training sword of her own, and she is, and there are just enormous bugbears, screeching goblins, loud raucous dwarfs. It runs the gamut of all various loudnesses that are present here, drumming up all sorts of excitement for Kyle. None of them are anywhere near the jubilant shrieking joy that Duriana is presenting as she cries out for every single trick and every victory that Kyle is displaying here in the courtyard. They've been here ever since Kyle set up, and they're going to be here long after everyone leaves. It is a infatuation that borders on, I guess you would say, she's not a stalker, but she is extremely interested in this person and emulates Kyle in every way.
Between varying duels, because Kyle at this point has seen her, has probably interacted with her a little bit. Every now and then will like lean down to her and be like, "Ah, yes, I believe that this big bugbear is about to challenge me. He is very large and will be very overconfident." And then like winks at the girl before she like gets up to go, and like one hand at this point like against the bugbear, like one hand behind her back, she tucks it into her belt and she's like, "Ah, yes, how they say, bring it on."
And Duriana turns to one of the dwarves sitting next to her and just like almost decks them with this trading sword. "Oh my gosh, did you see that? She is just like so amazing. There was this one time, there was this big Goliath and he had this big old axe, and I thought he was going to cut her in half, but she cut the freaking axe in half. It was amazing."
And like Kyle can hear this, and like it certainly like drives her on. And I would say by the end of a few more fights, she'll untie one of her scarves from somewhere. Like I said, they're kind of flowing all over the place. Picture Steven Tyler's microphone stand. And she'll take one off and untie it and bend down to tie it around the girl's head and say, now you are prepared to duel in style.
Oh my gosh, do you see this? Oh my goodness! And she just jumps out there and just is trying to emulate. She's not even embarrassed. There's a crowd of at least 24 people that are gathered here. And she is going through the motions. And she is a raw talent, but a talent nonetheless. It definitely appears as though during your time here, she has been taking notes. She has been practicing. And you can see that she's not just swinging that thing around. While she doesn't have the magic that you're able to bring to bear, there is form and there is technique, however rudimentary it is.
I think that at the back of her mind, Kyle has kind of tucked away that this is somebody who could potentially be a student at some point, if Kyle decides to stick around long enough for that sort of thing, which she doesn't tend to do, but so far it's nice here.
And after about 20 minutes or so of watching these amazing performances, the young girl takes off her hat and begins going around the crowd asking for tips. And it's at that point when the tip container starts passing around, people, oh yeah, that was great, yeah, I better be off, that was wow, so amazing. And of course there are people that are donating for such an impressive performance, but the bulk of them begin to disperse, at least at that point, as a new crowd will eventually make its way here, should Kyle decide to continue with these exercises. Camellia and Maron, are you going to donate, or are you going to make a hasty retreat at this point?
As the hat is coming out for being passed around super awkwardly, like way too enthusiastically, to the point where people are kind of who the God, were you raised in a barn, son? 3 times as loud as I should be able to shout. Maron's just hell yeah! Very, very excited about this.
Why, thank you. This is very kind of you.
And then, the hat isn't our way at all yet, but a gold coin just floats over 20 feet away and drops into the hat.
She she gives a little applause and says, "Ah, yes, a user of magic."
Camellia is going to toss 2 silver into the hat. And
Maron's not good with money.
And press forward towards this impressive martial display and say, "That was very good. How are you at killing things?"
This is a very blunt opening question.
Well, I would imagine it'd be a lot sharper.
Given the nature of the implements that you work.
She laughs at that and pats the sword at her side and says, "Ah, yes, you have a point there." When it comes to killing things, I am quite skilled. I have much experience in this.
Excellent. How much longer are you going to live?
Well, I would hope a very long time. If it helps, I am 237 years old.
Oh, excellent. All right. You should come with us right away.
Come with you where?
To the very heart, and I point directly towards the heart, the way that the fog is coming from. Towards
Certain death where we're going to
save all of Tamreon, end an ancient evil, and contend with forces
wildly beyond. Well,
save everyone.
She'll reach into a pocket and pull out a handkerchief that's as fancy as any of these scarves, kind of, and hand it to you. And say, towards the heart and certain death.
It's not entirely certain. It just I pull out the teacup, which at this point is dry and crusted to the side of the So I look at it sideways and I tilt it. I look over at Kyle. I tilt it again. It's not certain at all. We could
Well,
live.
that appears to be good news. I am not entirely certain that I am looking for that level of commitment at the moment, but perhaps you could keep me apprised of how it goes, and I could offer assistance in the future.
Hello. Big fan. Recent fan. Have you... You live here, right? You are around here. You are from around here. You are
Not,
familiar with Rialta?
uh, yes, in the last little while, I am familiar with this area.
I am not great with many things, but I am good with following directions from my deity, and she has sent me to this person for some cause.
Following a deity. Personally, I prefer to follow Makur, my heart. Um, I have let that lead me so far.
Fair. I did not explain very well. I don't necessarily follow her. She's more of a family friend. We work together toward the same goals. She gives me power, and I help her to keep the bad things away.
Magical power in exchange for assistance from you.
Yes, it's the family business, you might say.
And an excellent arrangement. Everything I have learned from the books and, as they say, the School of Hard Knocks.
Excellent college, I have heard.
I have. It has
I've-
done well by me.
I have not been there myself. I am not very good with books. Um, I am good with helping. I am good with protecting. I know that I have been sent here to help this person. And if they are asking you to help, I might ask you also.
It is.
And it's not like an accent I'm trying to do, it's just difficulty speaking. Sometimes words don't quite come out right.
Like me on an sensory overload day.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's kind of
well,
Marin like all the time though.
yeah, constant sensory overload. I
Yeah.
can appreciate that. Well, so in a way, you are following your own heart. And you, and she turns to Camellia and says, are following your own heart in a way?
I follow the signs in the sea and the salt of my blood. The traces of the breath of the thing that lurks below, wrestling even now with the sovereign of the seas for the souls and flesh and bone of every living being upon this rock.
Oh my
See?
goodness.
Very fun guy.
That is quite intense. I mean, the sea, she is a lovely woman and has never steered me wrong. But what you are asking is, as I said, quite the commitment. Um, and she like glances around and says, "Oh, there does appear to be another crowd beginning to gather. I do suppose that that my next performance should be about to start. Perhaps we can speak another time in the future."
I think we will.
Well,
She kind of like just blinks at you for another moment and says, "I guess, well,
You just
uh,
turn your head. I'm sorry he does that sometimes. Like very
It-
plainly without the difficulty speaking.
it was very nice to meet both of you."
Until our paths cross again. And Camellia turns splorch, 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 and starts walking without even gesturing towards his new companion, straight into the heart of danger, away from the crowd.
Kyle just kind of stands there and watches as the two of you walk away, and then just kind of like gives herself a shake to sort of set for the next performance. And there really not that many people have gathered around again yet, but boy, that was intense.
And it's
Yeah,
at
and you
that
see
point.
you see Camellia like splorching away, and you see Marin behind them, just kind of like ambling straight behind them, like this is their mission now, but like never quite looking forward, just always over their shoulder. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, no, not at all. As the clouds, again, it's a very small crowd. Most of them are the people who had already been there previously and maybe did or did not donate. Who knows? I mean, we don't hold them accountable. And there is Duriana, who is drumming up like anyone walking by. Hey, you get right over here! Come on, this is gonna be the most amazing thing you have literally ever seen. Your eyes are gonna explode out of your head, reform, grow back, be better for it. 2020, I'm telling you, come over here right now. This is literal magic.
The best promoter in the world.
And while this tumultuousness is happening, amongst the crowd and the people coming and going, Chi, while you are just blended in, hiding in plain sight more so. You're not actually, trying to not be seen, but you're more so just, you know where to go, you know where to break line of sight and where you can be somewhere without actually looking like you're not trying to be there. And during the changing of the guard, as it were, with this crowd of people, there is someone who approaches you and looks just like a beggar woman. But you recognize them for who they really are. One of your operatives who keeps an eye on things in town. And as they approach you, they kind of, oh, Mom, please. My son, he's so sick. If only you could purchase this bread from me, I'd be able to do something for them. Medicine, perhaps. And go ahead and make an insight check for me.
Sure.
Yeah, this
26.
is
Natural 20. First roll of the game. Natural 20. Let's go. Okay, anyway.
This is one of the right now they are while you yourself are a trained monk, you run a criminal organization that uses thieves' cant. Even though you yourself are not an expert in it, you do know some of the different jobs and ways of speaking that are run within your organization. And this is one that's known as Mother's Milk, where they are basically trying to give a drop and get you something, and it's under the pretense that, there's a deal or an exchange happening. So the expectation is that you're going to give them a few coins, they're going to take the bread, and there's something in the bread for you.
Gotcha. Yeah, she reaches into her pocket very, very quietly. She kind of hands it to her, and she says, I hope your son feels better soon. Please get that medicine for them right away.
Perfect. Go ahead and mark a few coins off your character sheet, and likewise, those of you that donated to Kyle, please mark off your coins. And Kyle,
Art.
what's that?
I already did.
Oh,
so
perfect.
yeah, add the gold coin.
Yeah, I
and the
believe
2
it was
silver.
Yeah, 1 gold coin, 2 silver, and there was also a smattering of other coins. You are going to be receiving 1 more gold piece from a generous observer, 13 silver, and 4 copper pieces as well.
All right.
And Chi, you are receiving a treasure from chat within the bread. I'd like you to go ahead and roll a 1d4 for me, please.
Ooh, snap. Treasure. Okay, I have to go here.
By the way, this is probably a good time to remind people, aside from all of the other wonderful things that you can take your hard-earned sand on, we are using the Taroka hit deck in this game. Probably should have mentioned that in the very beginning with all of my, I'm still getting used to this. I will get better and better. I've got literally months to do it. And so I'm not sure exactly how much it costs at this point, but you are able to take that well-farmed sand and purchase a card from the Taroka hit deck in which it will be able to provide boons to your party members as I pull from the common deck. However, I do want to make it known that if you do also feel generous and want to purchase an Act of God for the stream, I will also be pulling from the Taroga hit deck, but it will not be from the common boons, but from the high deck, which are the banes, woes, and curses that can befall our party. So for every bit of good they get from the gods and spirits of Tamreon, so too will the forces of darkness attempt to hinder and put duress upon our heroes. And you got a 2. So you already had on your person a very expensive and useful drug that you have been using, you and your faction, in order to make your way through the fog. Typically, anyone who enters the fog gets disoriented, making it very hard for them to see. You and your wives have been able to concoct a liquid known as Cardinal Sin. When applied to, much like an eyedropper to the eyes, it will give you advantage on all ability checks for 1 hour. However, if you have been initiated and have gone through the ritual of being inducted into the Cardinal Syndicate faction, it will last for a full 8 hours instead. However, after the drug wears off, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion, as your body has to recover from it. It's basically like a super energizer that makes you your best self for a limited time. You already had 4 of those at the start of this adventure, and now with that extra 2, you now have 6 doses of the Cardinal Sin.
Cool.
And there is a tiny little note that says nothing, but the symbols on it, you are able to make out a very basic cipher from both Aliana and Lilo, just telling you to be careful, and that this is something to hopefully get you through whatever it is you're going to be doing.
Oh, I love them.
And they love you. And Camellia and Marin are getting away.
Yeah, so Chi will wait in the back, you know what I mean, as they're all talking, and she will make note that they did talk together, and that it looked like Camellia was trying to get Kyle to come with them, you know what I mean? And she recognizes Kyle. She's seen her before. Obviously, kind of anyone who comes in the town and stays for more than a few days, she knows who they are. So as she's walking by, as they both leave, she walks up to the crowd. A lot of people in the crowd recognize her. Some kind of like move away from her a little bit, give her some space. She does try to catch Kyle's eye for a second, just to smile. And then she will actually go up to Duriana, pat her on the head, and then drop some coins in her hand. She's going to give her 5 gold coins.
Whoa.
And then she's going to walk away. And she's going to walk after Camellia and Marin.
Because you're dropping such a large amount of coin, she is giving you the attention you deserve, especially because she knows who you are. Effectively, you know, the well-respected crime boss who is taking care of the town just walked up and gave them several days worth of salary for an average person. So they acknowledge you, but even you can tell, despite the respect that, not that you demand, but that you deserve for what you've done to help the people, she can't take her eyes off Kyle, and you are definitely second fiddle right now. She takes her money, is very appreciative, but is just glued to the screen that is the performance.
Kyle definitely notices and will just toss a quick wink mid sword fight.
As expected. Yeah, so she will follow after Camellia and Marin, and she wants to stop them right before they start walking into the fog.
Camellia and Marin, as you are about to get to the outskirts of town, and you notice the fog has been creeping ever closer. It's now at the point over the last year where the fog is not just in the wilds, but is spreading towards the settlements. The fog only ends when it gets about 100 or so feet away from an established settlement. And from your time here within Tamreon, all of you know that an established settlement is somewhere where people have put down not just roots and buildings and a place to live, but walls. Walls are incredibly important within Tamreon. Without those borders clearly defining what that area is and what it means to the people who stay there, the fog moves forward and breezes in, almost as if it is being invited if there is not something keeping it out. And as you leave the town of Halloween behind you, as you are making your way towards the fog, and despite the fact that both of you are brave wanderers that have traveled through these fogs in the past, every time you enter, you get that chill up your spine as a whisper creeps into the back of your head, reminding you of every horrible thing you've ever done, whether you actually did it or not, but somehow you know that either it's something that could have happened or something that eventually will happen. And it shocks you every single time you step within, almost as if you're being submerged underwater and there were piranha, not killing you, but just nibbling at the epidermis of your flesh, reminding you with these pinpricks how close you are to your inevitable demise. And as you are about to plunge within the depths of this murky veil, you are stopped by a rather large and lithe owlin that both of you noticed back at the robin's nest.
Yeah, she will, she actually comes up behind you guys. So as you're about to come up, and I know, Marin might actually, notice her first.
Decent
As
chance.
she's walking up, yeah. But she's going to walk up rather quickly. So even if you do notice her, there's not much time to react before she puts one arm around Marin and then one arm around Camellia. And she's about to start saying something, and then she looks at Camellia for a second, and she slowly removes her arm and like shakes it off. Shakes a little bit of water off there, but she keeps the one arm around Marin.
Well, if I
Marin
did
for the
notice
meantime.
you coming up from behind, I would try to duck that, because I am very suspicious of everyone constantly.
Can I sleight of hand that? Can I sleight of hand that?
Were you attempting to come up quietly? And just kind of be there?
Yeah, but I know with Marin's perception, they might have seen.
Go ahead and make a contested I want to get a stealth check from Chi, and I'd like to get a active perception check from Marin, since generally most people...
Oh, active's only 12, yeah. My passive's 19.
And really, I think what happens is that, Marin, you are very, very, very keenly aware of your surroundings. You are so keenly aware of them, in fact, that you look at every single minute detail. That little twig that just broke, there could be something there. That little babbling brook, something's beneath that. Even though there are likely very real dangers in this world, you spend so much time looking at every possibility that a lot of times you miss what is directly behind you or even upon you, as an enormously lithe owlin just appears, arms around you, and you shudder as you are surprised, having had no idea that they were there.
Hello, friends. It's good to see you. Good to see you. You're going out into the fog.
Okay, feeling an arm around me and a voice behind me, can you give me, just, like, this isn't gonna hurt you, but give me a strength saving throw?
Sure.
And I need a 17.
23.
Okay. You feel like a force applied to you, even though you don't see me do anything, but it doesn't quite shove you away.
Gotcha. Yeah, she'll actually like hug you a little bit tighter for a second. And then she will let you go and stand back, and then kind of cross her arms over her chest.
Yes. Hello. Are you coming with us?
I just might. I heard you. She kind of like stops for a second. She kind of like tilts her head in like, like the weird like dog way.
Oh, right. It wasn't a oddly shaped pigeon at all.
It was
Pigeon. All right. Anyway.
No. See, now that it's proper, I can see I was completely
this again.
She kind of like looks down at it and then looks back up at you like, okay. So, word on the street, little birdie told me, you have some idea on what is going on with this? And she kind of like gestures towards the fog.
No,
No.
but I will shortly.
She kind of like ponders that for a second. Well, no matter. I think I will come with you in the fog, at least in this area. Listen. And she kind of like pulls it, like goes into her her pocket, and she pulls out. There's 3 little vials. They're like blue, shimmery liquid. And they each have like a little dropper like piece onto them. She goes, listen. I can get you through here. I can get you both through here easily in an hour. However, it depends on where you're going, right? So I can get me through here easily in about 8 hours. I'll come with you. All I'm asking is you tell me everything that you know and what you're doing.
At the very roots of the world. No, stop.
We can
Okay.
we can
Yeah, you see
we
Marin just kind of shrug, and then also noticing Camellia about to wind up, shrug again, and like lean back.
Right, everything. Lyteri was traditionally ruled by the League of Chieftains before it was subsumed into the kingdom. No, not relevant.
We can listen. We can walk and talk. We have all night.
Perfect, excellent. Unless we don't, but we most likely do. Yes, good. So as Camellia starts to walk off into the fog, so when you said everything, did you mean specifically everything or generally everything?
Everything that you think it would be possible for me to know.
Well, that depends entirely on the scope of your curiosity. How do you feel
I'll
about
let you know.
tea?
My wife loves tea.
Magnificent. Excellent taste.
She'll look over at Marin for a second, and she'll hold out her hand like to shake. She'll be like, "My name is Japachi Astrata."
My name is Meron Vinaigrette. And you'll
Vinaigrette.
feel your hand being shaked, but you won't see anything happening.
She'll look at it and she'll be like, "All right, perfect."
Now, if you swirl the leaves clockwise, that assists with prognostications of what is to come. But if you swirl it counterclockwise, a clock is a sort of mechanical piece that measures time and usually rotates from in this direction, matching the orientation of the sun. Counterclockwise allows you to inscribe insight into the past.
She seems very interested.
He will continue.
As she's
Marin
taking
seems very
the drug,
entertained.
as she's taking the drug and like putting it in her eyes.
And yeah, he's going to continue on this topic, which will eventually lead to what he's doing here, but it's going to take a very long time.
That's okay.
Is that
She is a lover of information.
okay?
She's the type of person that has people everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and she likes to be in the know. So any kind of information that she can get on you, she's gonna get on you.
Okay. Do you want to roll an insight check?
Sure. 18.
Okay. Moderately good education, lots of economic knowledge, merchant knowledge, probably upper middle class, noble roots, but not full noble blooded. Some sailor lingo slips in there from now and then. Very far removed from society at this point, but quite friendly to people. Completely destitute of all financial value and any worldly concerns whatsoever. Also, the world is ending.
Bet.
Excellent.
All right, yeah. Yeah, and she'll just follow y'all through.
Great.
And as you make your way into the as you make your way into the woods, surrounding the northern regions of Tamreon, where the fog grows thick and makes it very difficult to see or even consider where you are. You're all well traveled, though, and with the drug in hand, you make your way. And the camera slowly pans out, and we see the three of you making your way into the fog. As we pull back, we can see the entirety of the town. We're looking through, down in the courtyard. Kyle is giving their performance with the onlookers watching, and this goes on for maybe another hour or so before things tend to die down, and we see Kyle walking off with their little friend Duriana in tow. And time begins moving forward at a rapid rate. We see, focused on that square, we fast forward. Minutes become hours, become days, become weeks. And as the clock is turning, the day is rising and falling. We can see the fog creep, minuscule, and ever so much closer. And as we begin to zoom back into the town of Halloween, we see a notice board. And on that notice board, we see an assortment of things, odd jobs that people are placing flyers for around town, wanted posters for criminals. However, there is a very particular notice that catches our eye. On the notice board, we see that not only are there wanted posters for criminals who are sought after by the law, but we also have a poster for a missing halfling, Duriana Fleetdream, a teenager from Halloween. She has sandy blonde hair, golden eyes, and fair skin. She stands about 3 feet tall with an average build, triangular face, and always seems to smell of flowers. And she was last seen leaving Halloween with a group bound for the Kamatish Expanse. And she's yet to be seen from since then. And I think there was something. There we are!
We've actually got two of those in the bank, which we can handle after the break.
Please don't go anywhere, folks. We are going to take a quick break as we gather our party before venturing forth, and we will continue our community adventures of Curse of Tamreon. We'll be back. Thank you.